Welcome back, Brooklyn Nets fans. Was not expecting to make a Nets video today, but of course we got some news that the head coach of the Nets is no longer there, and that's Jacque Vaughn getting relieved of his duties, and that came out this morning. And it was pretty surprising. Wasn't the most shocking thing in the world. I figured that after that 50-point loss the other day, that the leash was getting shorter, but I still figured he'd close out the season and they would do this in the summer. But they do it today. And when I made that reaction to the Celtics game and talked about ways that the Nets can potentially save their season, one of the only few ways they could have done that was to try and make a change at head coach and to promote Kevin Ollie. And that's exactly what they did. They promote Kevin Ollie. They get rid of Jacque Vaughn. And Kevin Ollie now has the final, I think it's 28 games to be the head man, and it is as an interim head coach, and hopefully the Nets don't make another mistake and give out a premature extension like they did to Jacque Vaughn last year, which was not even a year ago, I think, when Jacque Vaughn got extended. But yeah, I mean, look, I feel bad for Jacque Vaughn, the person. He seems like a good guy, and he's been a Net he was a Net as a player, and then he was a Net coach since like 2016. So he's been here for a very long time. We forget, he was the coach for the Nets right before COVID and in the bubble. So not only was it just this head coaching tenure, he was the head coach post-Atkinson and pre-Steve Nash. And, of course, he was a player. I remember watching him at Continental Airlines backing up Jason Kidd back in the day. So Jacque Vaughn, definitely a good Net, and it's just it sucks. It is what it is. But, as Sean Marks and the Nets said in their statement, this kind of was just something that had to happen. It was best for the organization. And you can tell a lot of the players stopped kind of buying into what Jacque Vaughn was doing, and a 50-point loss last Wednesday will pretty much tell you that. I mean, I know Boston's a very good team and they're the championship favorites right now, but there's no world where you should be losing by 50 points. I mean, that's insane. So, based on some reports, Ian Begley came out with some of them today, mentioned that some players were frustrated with Jacque Vaughn and the offense. Mentioned that it was clear Mikal Bridges was frustrated with Brooklyn's offense. He also said, worth noting that Spencer Dinwiddie also advocated in non-confrontational talks with Vaughn at the start of the year for a clearer definition of roles and hierarchy. So I guess the communication there was not good with Dinwiddie as well. We know that, whether it was with Jacque Vaughn or with Sean Marks about a potential extension. Obviously, Spencer Dinwiddie a long time ago was promised to be traded, and it took a very long time. It took until the very last day of the trade deadline to do that. This is something that I think the Nets had to do it, of course. I figured it would come in the summer once again. I was a bit surprised it was today. I thought at first it was a fake account, and I was like, here we go with these freaking fake accounts. Because I think I had my phone open, and I do have the Shams and Woj alerts on Twitter on my phone. So usually it would pop up on my home page. But this time I had Twitter open already, so I was scrolling, and I saw the Nets have... Nets and Jacque Vaughn have gone separate ways or whatever, and I thought it was fake. And then I had to click on the account and saw that he had 4 million followers. I'm like, oh, wait, that's a real Woj. This is real shit. So it definitely was not expected today, but I guess just based on, it's kind of like an unwritten rule, I guess, with the NBA and teams that you don't announce stuff like this during the All-Star break, and I guess that makes sense. So this was something that I'm sure the Nets had pretty much came to conclusion a couple days ago, at least, probably Thursday, Friday, that Jacque Vaughn was not going to be their coach anymore, and they had to wait till this morning to announce it, which is fair. I get it. One of the Ian Begley tweets also said that Nets say they have fired head coach Jacque Vaughn. Several players had lost confidence in Vaughn amid Nets struggles, per SNY sources. Some within Nets had concerns that Vaughn could hinder their chances at landing a top star. That's interesting. It's that last part right there that some people had concerns that Vaughn could hinder their chances at landing a top player. That's very interesting. So I don't know. What their plan is, and maybe in the summer they just hire a coach that Donovan Mitchell wants or some other star player. I don't know. I don't know why they would throw that quote out there. I feel like it means something, but I don't know what. So would Jacque Vaughn have really drove away a potential star coming to Brooklyn? I mean, I don't know. When Kevin Durant came back to Brooklyn 2 weeks ago, he had some good things to say about Jacque Vaughn. So I don't know. That's a weird quote to put in there, but we'll see. Like, there's a lot of unknown about this still. Like, yes, it is a sigh of relief to know that, like, yes, the Nets made the right decision here, and the coach that should have been fired by now is fired. But I don't leave this situation feeling much, much better about the Nets and what their direction is. I mean, right now, Sean Marks is still employed, and he might be able to hire his fourth head coach in a span of, 5 years? I mean, Atkinson was hired back in 2016, so I mean, yeah, but still, it's like his fourth coach since being here in 8 years. I mean, that's a lot. So not many GMs get that luxury of hiring 4 different head coaches. Maybe Joe Tsai is giving Sean Marks some more leeway because he likes what he's done with the roster, and maybe he looks at the whole big three as a lot of that was out of Sean Marks' control. Like, he may look at it like that. So I don't know. Maybe they do give Sean Marks another chance. I don't think that it's 100% that Marks is the GM next year. I could see this Nets team, having a disappointing end to the year, and they miss the play-in, and they go into the summer and they let go of Sean Marks. Like, that would not shock me either. But at this point, it seems like Sean Marks is made of Teflon. Like, he's just a guy you cannot fire. I don't know. I don't know what else this guy has to do to get fired. Maybe it is miss the playoffs entirely this year. Maybe if they get swept in the first round again, maybe that's enough. But I don't know. Maybe Joe Tsai just loves the vision that Sean Marks has for this team and is really buying into it. I don't know what it's going to be. So we have to wait until the summer probably to find out what happens with Sean Marks. But I feel pretty good about if this team really sucks down the stretch and they're still playing like ass, I would think Sean Marks is gone. But if they show life with Kevin Ollie and they make a run to the play-in tournament and they get the 9 or 10 seed and they maybe win both games and make the actual playoffs, I would think that Sean Marks is maybe safe for another year. I don't know, or at least another half a year, and they'll probably reevaluate things by next year's trade deadline or All-Star break. So that's all wait and see. Once again, it is a nice relief, but I feel like this is only the beginning. Like, this is the first step in what has to happen. I don't think anyone really thought Jacque Vaughn was meant to be the coach of the future here. Like, when the Nets extended him last year through 2026, 2027, it was a bad idea. It was premature, and it just should not have happened. Like, they had him under contract for this year, and for some reason they jumped the gun and gave out a contract that they should not have given out. But I do give credit to Joe Tsai, who I love to criticize for obvious reasons. I do give him credit for at least admitting that he made a mistake and he was able to move off another head coach, and now he's still paying Steve Nash this year, and he's going to be paying Jacque Vaughn until 2027. So I do like the fact that Joe Tsai can at least admit, like, hey, I messed up, or, Sean Marks messed up, whoever's call it was to make Jacque Vaughn the head man. So at least they do that. I appreciate that. But as I said, this is just the first step of what could be many steps of trying to rebuild this Nets team. And we'll learn a lot this summer. I do think they'll be star hunting, and we'll see who they get. That really comes down to who's available and which players the Nets could possibly land. So today's news, though, it was good. And I'm excited to see how they look on Thursday and see how they look for the rest of the year. I saw that graphic that the Nets have the second easiest schedule remaining of any NBA team. So it's all out there for them. The stage is set. It's all out there to make a potential run at the 9 or 10 seed. And, I want to see how far they are back of like the 7 or 8 seed. I think they're pretty far out. Like, I don't think I'm going to realistically sit here and expect that from this team. So as I look at the standings, they are 2.5 back of the Hawks, who hold the 10 seed. They are 4.5 back of the of the Bulls, who are the 9 seed. And then they're like 7.5 back of the Magic, who are the 8 seed. So they're not getting that probably. But if they get the 9 seed, I think they would host a playing game. So at least they would have that. But they would have to win 2 playing games to make the playoffs, which is tough to do. So if the Nets, like let's say the Nets get the 10 seed, which is more realistic, they would have to beat the 9 seed on the road and then go on the road again and beat either and then beat, I think, whoever is remaining, whether it's the 7 or 8 seed. They would have to beat 2 teams to make the playoffs. It'd be tough. So I'm not expecting the Nets to make the playoffs. I think right now they have like one of the longer streaks of, teams making the playoffs. I think the Nets have made the playoffs 5 straight years. So that could be in jeopardy this year. But as I said, there's like 28 games left, and maybe they find a way to have a great run down the stretch here and can possibly get back to somewhere near 500 and maybe make the playoffs. So hopefully that happens, and we'll see about Kevin Ollie and how good he is. A lot of players have spoken highly about him. Of course, he won the national championship with UConn back in 2014. So hopefully, it all works out. I did see that Vaughn's final record as Nets head coach was 71-68. So technically, he does, I guess, I don't want to say retire, but he leaves the Nets as a above 500 head coach. But I don't think that includes the playoff losses. So if you include the bubble sweep and last year's sweep, he's below 500, but we'll be positive and say, hey, Jacque Vaughn was an above 500 coach. So, I thank Jacque Vaughn for what he did here. It's unfortunate it didn't work out, but hopefully Kevin Ollie is a step in the right direction, and if Ollie comes up short and is not the man for the job, the Nets better get it right in the summer, because it's getting ridiculous. I mean, you think about the amount of coaches they've had since moving to Brooklyn, which was a little over 10 years ago now. Avery Johnson, he barely lasted in Brooklyn. PJ Carlesimo, Jason Kidd for a year. Lionel Hollins. I think the interim guy was Tony Brown, I think his name was. Then I think it was Kenny. And then it was on to Nash. And then on to Jacque Vaughn. I feel like I'm missing somebody. But that's like 8 coaches right there. That's 8 coaches. And they moved to Brooklyn in 2012. I mean, it's freaking insane. I know some of those guys are interim guys, but still, too many. It's crazy. So I hope they just finally get this head coaching spot right. We may have to wait until the summer for that to happen. But as I said in that reaction to the Boston game, one of the few ways, and really the only way you could have sparked this team, was to move on from Jacque Vaughn. They did it, and we'll see if it's enough to make a run in the second half. And hopefully they do. So we'll see what happens. By the way, I should be on the Nets Fans You Know podcast tomorrow, so look for their channel with Pete. He has a YouTube channel. I'm sure you can find him on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that stuff. So I'm going to be on there tomorrow. Not sure when that'll be uploaded. That's up to him probably, but probably it will be out tomorrow night or probably Wednesday morning, one or the other. So catch me on there. But yeah, that's about it. It was a good day to be a Nets fan, and I just hope this is a step in the right direction. We'll see what happens, and I'll talk to you guys next time.